The problem with most Israelites today is that they're not lovers of wisdom. This is why they have to look for gimmicks to keep them entertained, to keep them what's the word I'm looking for? To keep their attention span, because truly they're not lovers of wisdom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is A Lover of Wisdom. And that is very important in this knowledge. In order, of course, one that is a lover of wisdom will be inspired through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's the ultimate. Other than that, there would be no way to be inspired to do this work unless it be through the orders and the mercies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And I've made that observation that a lot of these individuals, a lot of these people that come, that are waking up to being Israelites, are pretty much really coming to this thing because of their desires. You have desires that they have as far as certain goals or aspirations that they may have, and a certain group out there caters to their wants and their needs, so they flock to them based off of those needs and wants, which means that they're serving their own belly. They're not serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, which ultimately means that they're not lovers of wisdom, which ultimately means that they're not a part of the elect. Alright, so Lord's will, this lesson will be edifying. This is just built around one word, and the word is philosophy. Now, when you break the word philosophy down, matter of fact, let's start off with that. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second. So here we go. We got the word philosophy on etymology.com or etymonline.com. It says circa 1300, philosophy, knowledge, learning, scholarship, scholarly works, body of knowledge. From Old French, philosophie, philosophy, knowledge. Let's see. Love of knowledge, pursuit of wisdom. Systemic investigation from philo, loving, plus Sophia. So the love of Sophia, or the love of wisdom. And wisdom and knowledge, are joined together. And what marries this together, what marries knowledge and wisdom together, is understanding. Alright? So, let's go to the book of Colossians, because you have two types of wisdom. Even though you have the righteous wisdom and you have the wicked wisdom, and although the wicked wisdom is not wisdom, as the scriptures tell us, but you do have the negative side of everything out there. Everything has a double. Alright, so this is the first precept we're going to go to, Colossians 2:8. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Yahushai. So, when we look up this word philosophy here, the word is philosophia. So it's a compound word. Philo means love, like you have Philadelphia. Phila is love, and Adelphia is brother, the city of brotherly love. So philo is love, and Sophia is wisdom. All right, so it says love of wisdom. And this is why a lot of individuals out there find it hard to really get into this truth and really deal with the essence of this truth and the hardcoreness of this truth, for lack of better words. Because most Israelites out there are here for entertainment. Because they're not lovers of wisdom, they're lovers of pleasure. There's a difference between being a philosopher and a pleasurophilus, or I mean, whatever. I was trying to make a word, but I guess it didn't work. But there's a difference between being a lover of wisdom and a lover of pleasure, so that you could understand. So love of wisdom, that's exactly what the word philosophy means, which goes back to philosophos, which is a philosopher. It says used either of zeal, and now what is zeal? Zeal, when you break it down, quanawath in the Hebrew, pretty much means jealousy, jealous, and when you have zeal, that zeal has what? Brings forth passion. And the passion is shown in, in what you really, what an individual really is into, based off of what they deal with. Let's see, just bear with me. Trying to think of this one scripture. All right, Matthew 12:34. And let's do it. Luke 6:45. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart. See, there are treasures, different type of treasures. You have earthly treasures, and you have treasures, heavenly treasures. Now, the heavenly treasures are more valuable than the earthly treasures. Scriptures say that the things that are seen are temporal. Let's go to Romans 11:33 real quick. It says, "Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out." So we're reading here in Luke 6:45, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance," see, of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaketh. So whatever is occupying your mind the most, that's what your talk is going to be about. Let's see, I believe that's Ecclesiasticus chapter 11, is it? Yep, Sirach 11:2. "Commend not a man for his beauty." Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Let's see. Here we go. Oops. Okay. How else could I word this? Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Let's go to Proverbs. Ecclesiastes 27:7. "Praise no man before thou hearest him speak, for this is the trial of men." So the trial of men is what? In their speech. So that's why we're reading here. It says, "For from the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh." So if you're a lover of wisdom, that's what you will be speaking about. Wisdom. Pretty much. So going back, it says, "Use either of zeal for or skill in any art or science, any branch of knowledge," used once in the New Testament of the theology, or rather theosophy, of certain Jewish Christians ascetics, which busied itself with refined and speculative inquiries into nature and classes of angels, into the ritual of the Mosaic law and the regulation of Jewish tradition respecting practical life. And this is why Yahushua cursed out those wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, and told them that they hold the traditions of the elders more in more esteem than the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And this is also why in the same book of Colossians 2, matter of fact, I'm there already, so let's go back. The same book of Colossians 2, when you scroll down, in 18th verse, it says, "Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind." Yeah, so he's vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Here it is, you're trying to go into extravagant breakdowns of the angels and the cherubims and outer space and and all and everything that pertains to the spirit world, but you have no clue or no idea what it's about. You could only speculate off of what you read in the scriptures. That's why the Apostle Paul even said when he died and went to the spirit world and returned back, he said that it wasn't lawful to speak of these things. Not that it wasn't lawful as far as what's right or wrong, but there were no words to explain the magnificence and the glory of what he saw. So here it is, you got a guy talking about the quasars and this, that, and the other, and you don't even know shit that pertains to this world. You don't even know that the mark of the beast is a microchip. And other things that pertain to earth. But anyway, that goes into a whole nother topic. So now that we got that, let's go from there to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 20. It says, "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to the Most High. And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils." Yeah, because you have two sides to the coin. You have the righteous side and the wicked side. So you got to choose. Either you choose the right thing or you choose the wrong thing. It says you cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. Yeah, because there's a distinct separation there. Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? No, because the Most High is a power. He's a jealous power. And if there's anything that occupies our time more than him, he usually takes that out of the way. Like if you're into a woman too much, the Lord could cause problems between you and that woman, so you could focus more on him, or he could take that woman away from you altogether. If you have a job that's constantly getting in the way of doing this work, the Lord could take that job away and give you something else that might not make as much money as that, but your time is more invested doing the work, but you'll still be taken care of financially, because the Most High is a jealous power. He wants the attention on him. Now that, we're in the flesh, so it's impossible for us to be in the spirit 100% of the time, all the time, but you do have, we do have our devotion and dedication to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are, because all things have knowledge and have lawful things with it, but all things are not expedient. The word expedient, X is out and pedient is foot. Everything that is out there that has something to do with some type of knowledge is not beneficial for moving this truth and his work forward. So if you know it, good. Like you got Israelites out there that get involved in all this historical stuff, which is good if you know it, but is it beneficial to the truth of this knowledge of this truth of the scriptures, of the gospel of the gospel of salvation? If not, then why even talk about it? I mean, it's good to know if you know it, but it's pretty much is idle, because it doesn't do anything to move the truth forward. What it does, it just keeps a person stagnant from the truth. So if anything is to be spoken of in pertaining to this truth, it should be things that pertain to the truth. Any of the historical stuff, as far as science is concerned, as far as history, anything that has to do with the scriptures, boom, we could deal with that. Other stuff, if you know it, you know it, It's no big deal, because some people get all caught up in, oh, I know all kind of stuff. You know, I got an individual in my mind right now that was like that used to be in the truth. I'm not going to mention his name right now unless the spirit hits me to say it. And he knew everything. Anything anybody asked, he just knew about everything. You know, I mean, you could talk about, you know, is the moon made out of cheese, and what kind of cheese it is, and if they ever made a what you call that, I can't think of the name right now, up in the on the moon, and he would say, yep, this happened, that's what happened. The year was 1721, you know, and a chunk of the moon fell, and it was cheese, and it was Gouda cheese, but it was smoked Gouda cheese, you know. So it just all kind of as Apostle Gabar always uses the term, idle banter, you know, which has nothing to do with moving the truth forward. It says, all things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Everything out there that has, because there's plenty of knowledge out there, but all knowledge out there does not make the truth, does not build the truth. And this truth is made for what? To build. So the lover of wisdom loves wisdom to help build this truth, to make this truth go forward, you know, to not let the truth be stagnant, because the truth is not stagnant. This is nothing but living waters, and living waters, you know, living waters run deep. Inside joke, but it's true. All right, so now let's go from there to the book of Philippians, chapter 2. Hope this is making sense. Philippians 2 and 4. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Yeah, because what we do in this knowledge is beneficial for others. You know, of course, we work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, but we also have to lay the path out for others also. It's not just all about us, because this world teaches you to be selfish, you know, but the Lord Yahushua teaches us how to be selfless. You know, there's a difference between being selfish and being selfless. You know, Yahushua said, deny himself. Let him deny himself. And most people are not willing to do that. You know, and that's when you're dealing with wisdom, when you're dealing with philosophy, the love of wisdom, you're dealing with a very strict, disciplined way. You know, and most people in this society are taught it's all about pleasure, and in business they put business second or third or fourth on their list. Their priorities are backwards, you know, and that's why you have individuals out there that they just pretty much serving their own belly. You know, that's why they're coming up with all different type of bullshit, different type of gimmicks, you know, and ultimately are not even in fear of saying, just letting any shit just blurt out of their mouth. You got individuals out there that are just letting all kind of shit just blurt out of their mouth, and they have no fear whatsoever that the Lord is ever going to deal with them about that, because they're not lovers of wisdom. All right, now let's go from there to, because it's like I said, it's very important, you know, to be mindful of what you're teaching, because not only are you teaching yourself, but you're teaching others, and what you teach is supposed to help the truth move forward, and it's supposed to help the truth grow. Because remember, this is a constant feeding, you know, the feeding of the mind. And you know, if you feed the body junk, what's going to happen? The body's going to break down. If you feed the mind junk, the mind is going to break down. So the mind has to be fed. It also has to be worked out. It's a combination of eating and exercising. You see? And that's a lover of wisdom. So now let's go from there to the book of Proverbs chapter 4. This is a very good chapter. You know, you young brothers that's just coming into this, good book to read is the book of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, you know, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. This is a whole bunch of sound advice, knowledge, wisdom, understanding of things, to make a man wise, to make a man a lover of wisdom, to help him, mentally grow. All right, this is Proverbs 4:1. It says, "Hear, ye children, the instructions of a father, and attend to know understanding," because the ultimate, what you have people out there that have a lot of knowledge, you have people out there that have a lot of wisdom, but the majority of them do not have understanding. So knowledge and wisdom without understanding is pretty much useless, because if you have knowledge, you have wisdom, and you don't have understanding, it's useless. But if you have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, then the knowledge and the wisdom you have with the understanding, that's a marriage, that's a union. You see, it says, "For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, Let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live." See, because this is important. Now, we know that we're not going to be able to keep the law 100%, but we do the best that we can. You have individuals out there that have no fear, and they tell you not to. You don't have to keep the law. You can do whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. You can sleep with whoever you want. You can do what it. And then people have no clue of what's going on. And when you look at them, and you look at their manner of talk and the way they conduct themselves, pretty much they're like beasts. For the most part, these people out here are like beasts. They do whatever the fuck they want. They have no fear. They have no hedge. Instructions are set up to what? To put a hedge there. Because if you don't have a hedge, meaning protection, then it's open to whatever. So this truth, this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding, this is our hedge. This is our protection. Because once you stray away from that, what does Scripture say? Let's go real quick to Proverbs 21:16. It says, "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." See? So he that wandereth out of the way, because you have different ways. You have the wrong way, you have the right way. The right way, the path of the right way is very narrow. And it's very easy to wander off. That's why you have, the shepherds that are supposed to knock the sheep, back onto the right path. And that's what the shepherd's staff was for, to make sure that the sheep stayed on the path. So the word wandereth is tha'ai, to err, meaning to commit error. That's just a shortened form for error, to commit error. Wander. When you wander, meaning you wander off. Go astray, stagger. You pretty much get the gist of it. It says, out of the way of understanding. So you get out of the way, or the word is the rock. Yep, the rock. Which means way, road, distance, journey, manner. This is a journey. This is a road, a pathway, direction, manner, habit, way. Yeah, because this, of moral character. This builds up your character. This truth, this knowledge, this understanding. Alright? So going back, it says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not. And this is one thing that individuals, they learn, but they cast it to the side. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. See? There's a preservation in this. There is a hedge. There is protection in doing this. But most people don't believe that. They don't believe that by doing and sacrificing for this truth, making your body a living sacrifice, that there's a reward for that, because they don't see the immediate benefit. You see? They don't see that immediate benefit. Therefore, it's not sexy to them. It's not something that they want to get involved with, because they want instant gratification. Because in America and in the world today, everything is instant. The faster, the better. That's why you go from 1G to 5G, 6G, 7G, or whatever, because everybody wants things fast. And when things don't load up fast enough, what happens? They get impatient because they're used to it moving at the speed of light, so to speak. You go to the drive-through in any different of these fast food, these death shacks, you know, and you take too long. What happens? You get arguments, and you might even get hurt. Hey, you've had instances where people got killed, you know, in the drive-through because they took too long to get the people's food. To show you the beast mentality of the average American, especially among Jake. You had that one asshole that jumped through the fucking window of the drive-through, you know, to get one of them Popeye's chicken sandwiches. Shit it's insane, man. Romans 12:1. I beseech you therefore, brethren, be by the mercies of the Most High, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. See, most Israelites are not willing to do that. Your body's a living sacrifice. You know, you do it for anything else, but nope. The Lord, you know, he got to be put on the back burner. They'll sacrifice for their job, for their career. They'll sacrifice for their family, for their woman. They'll sacrifice for education. They'll sacrifice everything. But when it comes to the Lord, he's back, all the way back in the pay me no mind priorities, way back there. It's like when you pay your bills, you know you got the rent is up top, the phone, different things. Then you have those bills that, well, if I get to it, I get to it. That's where most Israelites have the Most High. I'll get to it when I get to it pile. It said that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. And this is a reasonable service. Because remember, this road is already paved out. You know? The greatest sacrifice was already committed. Yahweh already shed his blood, was crucified. You know? So the road is already set. Nobody has to go on a cross, you know, to get this thing rolling. It's already done. And even today, as far as learning is concerned, you know, brothers don't have to go to the libraries anymore unless they choose to. You don't have to go to libraries anymore. You don't have to go purchase books anymore. Everything is online. Everything is laid out in spades. You know, but you have those guys that serve their own belly, talk about, well, you know, the internet, that's a new highway, you know, highways and byways, so we don't have to go out in the streets anymore. Why? Because they're lazy, they're not lovers of wisdom, they're not willing to make their bodies a living sacrifice, because they don't believe that they're going to get a reward, you know, at the end of this whole thing. They really believe in their heart of hearts that everything's going to continue on as it is. They're going to get old and die, and then the next generation is going to come, so on and so forth, all the way to whenever. That's their mentality, because they have a world mentality, not even a Western Hemisphere mentality, a world mentality. That's the average mindset of the world, you know. So now let's go back to Proverbs 4 and 6. It says, forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her. See, love who? Wisdom. Be a philosopher, be a lover of wisdom. Love her, and she shall keep thee. How many brothers, you know, you brothers know when, you know, you be in certain situations and you're about to lose it, then all of a sudden scriptures start coming to mind and it calms you down. What's that? That's wisdom preserving you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Why? Because you made your body a living sacrifice. You know, you do the things that are pleasing to the Lord. So the Lord in certain situations helps to get you through. It says wisdom is the principal thing, because this is above all, you have wisdom. It says, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Why? Because knowledge and wisdom without understanding is pretty much not really beneficial, because you're missing that main ingredient of understanding. And this is why most Israelites out there are not lovers of wisdom, because they're missing the key ingredient, which is understanding. And the understanding increases what? Increases faith. So they're really a faithless generation. That's why they're constantly looking for new gimmicks. They're constantly looking for new ways to stay excited about the truth, but not because of the knowledge and wisdom that's coming up off the pages, but because of some gimmick that some group out there paints for them, so that they can splurge it upon their lust. Because at the end of the day, it's about them and it's not about the truth. Now let's go from there to the book of Matthew, because we're going to come back to that. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 13 and 44. Right, now check this out. It says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure. And what does this kingdom of heaven begin with? This knowledge. This knowledge is the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. And this knowledge is given to the Israelites. That's why Yahushua said, the kingdom of heaven cometh not with observation, neither will they say, lo here or lo there, for the kingdom of heaven is within you. You are the one. You Israelites, this knowledge resides within you. You are the kingdom of heaven. So it says again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field. And what is the field? The field is the world. And at one time, this knowledge was hidden. We read in the book, in the Apocrypha. Let's get that real quick before we read on. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 6. And just go straight to the point. 28, it says, as for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So this knowledge was hid at one time in the field, in the world. And this knowledge that we speak of and teaching right now had its birth where? On the soils of America, so-called America. And now it's spread out throughout the world. So when this man found his treasure in the world, what did he do? The which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. So how did he sell all that he had? I mean, this is being used in physical terms. But how do you sell all that you have? Meaning you gave up everything that you were striving for in this life to receive the ultimate treasure, which is the kingdom of heaven. And not many people are willing to do that. All right, now let's go from there to the book of Luke, chapter 10, and start at 38. Now this is funny because when the Spirit had me putting this lesson together yesterday, when I ran across the scripture, I thought about a conversation we were having. I believe, with the apostles and the bishop. I believe it was on our way back from camp, and we were talking. I don't know if it was at camp, on the way to camp, or on the way from camp. We were Apostle Tara was speaking about Martha and Mary. I believe it was at the camp, and then this scripture came up in rotation for this lesson, a lover of wisdom. And this is very important. So Martha and Mary were actual sisters. They were actual women that actually existed, and this actually happened. But you could look at these two women as an example today of a lover of wisdom and a lover of the world, so to speak. Luke 10:38. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Yahushua's feet and heard his word. So you're starting to see, right, the difference. Martha, Mary. Martha received the Lord into her house. Mary sat at his feet. To what? To hear his word. Because Yahushua ultimately is wisdom. The scriptures say that he's the word. That he comes in a volume of the book. It is spoken of him. It says, but Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister had left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. Right? And Yahushua answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, which is what? This truth for what? Salvation. It says, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Woo! That's bad, man. You know? So Mary was the lover of wisdom. You know, I mean, Martha was a sincere woman also, but I'm just using the two as an example of someone that has the cares of the world and someone that has the cares of the Lord, which is the cares of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And this is why most Israelites, once again, even the ones that are woke, they're not lovers of wisdom. That's why they need gimmicks. They need new ways to keep them excited about the truth, because they're not really excited about the truth. They're excited about the gimmicks and about the commandments of men, and not what pertains to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now, going back to back to Proverbs, because we read already Romans 11. Proverbs 4 and 8. It says, exalt her, and she shall promote thee. And this is why we go out in the streets and teach this word. Wisdom crieth without, you know, she lifteth up her voice in the streets. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. Yeah. Because she will bring us to honor in due time. It says, she shall give to thine head an ornament of grace. Yeah, because that's where? In the mind. And people will know by the way that you speak and things that you say. You know, and we'll be amazed sometimes at things that come out of our mouth and our mind, but it's not because of us, it's because of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Put certain thoughts in your mind, certain ways to do something, or do this, make this decision, make that decision. You know, it all comes through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But you have to be a lover of wisdom, and that ingredient has to be given us of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Here, see? Here. See? He that hath an ear, let him hear. This is me not talking about just hear with your ears, is hear with your spirit, hear with your mind. Hear, O my son, and receive. See? Hear and receive. Don't just hear. Hear and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, because the word straighten here, as you see how it's spelled, is not talking about a straight line. It's talking about a position of difficulty. And even when you find yourself in a position of, when we find ourselves in the positions of difficulty, somehow, some way, there'll be something there to help us get out of it. And when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Yeah, because running in what? Teaching this word. And a lot of guys that are not rooted in this thing, they stumble because they come across stuff they don't understand, and they get caught up in the hoopla, so to speak. You know? Because you have a lot of stumbling blocks in the scriptures that if you don't have the proper guidance, you can fall in that pit. You've had many different individuals bring out. That's why you still have guys that are Israelites that know that they're Israelites, still teaching about the hell doctrine, still teaching about all nations can be saved, still teaching that Cornelius is a Edomite when he's actually an Israelite. It says, take fast hold of instruction. See, this is one thing, you know, Jake doesn't take heed to the instruction. Let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life. See, this is life right here. That's why it says that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Now, I mean, I kind of skipped something, but that's okay. Let's go to Proverbs 3 and 13. Because we read, right, so we have the treasures of this thing, but there's also certain things that have to be done when you receive that. You know, you got to follow those instructions as we read. It says, and then the instructions come with what? Come with reproof, rebuke. And most Jakes out there do not want to be corrected. I don't know what it is about the fucking Western Hemisphere that you know, you try to correct somebody on something for their benefit, for their good, and they get contorted and twisted. That's a something of the West. You know, because in the East, men were men. Proverbs 3:13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom. See, and the man that getteth understanding. So it's not just good enough to have the wisdom, knowledge and wisdom, but you also have to have the understanding. That is the cement. That is the glue in that relationship. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. Because this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, this is the finest of gold. Ecclesiastes 7. Right here, Ecclesiastes 7 and 12. For wisdom is a defense. See? And money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. See? So the excellency of knowledge is what? Wisdom. The excellency of both of these is what? The understanding. So going back, it says 15, she is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Because with wisdom and knowledge and understanding, everything else comes after. This is why Yahweh Shai said, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all these things shall be added unto thee. Because the riches of this world are deceitful. They make themselves wings. You could be rich one day and a pauper the next. You know, they show you an example of that in that movie, Trading Places. You know, you had Randy and Morte. Randy and Morte. They were living it up. And what happened? They lost everything and went to the poorhouse. But in the kingdom of heaven, it's not going to be like that. Because it's going the opposite way. The right way. From poverty to riches. Like scripture say, before honor is humility. It says her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is the tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Now let's jump down to the 21st verse. It says, my son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. Yeah, because there's times when this road can get a little windy, a little difficult to navigate down. You know, but that's the time really to strap in. It says, so shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Why? Because we're mentally free. All right, we're mentally free. Now, let's go to Jeremiah 3 and 15, because there is a way to get this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. First step is the Most High draws us to Yahweh Shai. Second step, Yahweh Shai inspires us. And the third step, which is the inspiration of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, is through the men that he set up to teach. Jeremiah 3:15, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Not at a soup kitchen, you know, handing you plates of whatever. You know, they shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Now let's go from there to the book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 13. It says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved, meaning Israelites. Whatever Israelite calls upon the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, if they're part of the elect, they will be saved. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher, which is a teacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. And what is the gospel of peace and the glad tidings of good things? This is the gospel, which is the good news, which is Yahweh Shai dying on the cross, shedding his blood to bring favor back once again between Yahweh and Yasha'Allah, that bring us back into the good graces of the Most High. That's what reconcile is. which the gospel of reconciliation is to bring back into the good graces of the good favor of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, because at one time the Lord turned his back on us because we turned our back on him. Now let's go from there to the prologue of the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus, let's see. Wisdom to the intent. Well, you know what? Let me start off. Yahushua or Jesus, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law. This is not dealing with Yahushua. This is dealing with another, not in the sense of another Jesus, but somebody else that had the same name. And the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. Yeah, because it all comes with what? With the knowing, with the knowledge. You know, because when Jake didn't know, they were doing things that they thought were right until they woke up. Like when you go back to the time of Josiah, you know, the Passover had not been kept, everything was all messed up, and then when the book of the law was read, they felt sorrowful, they repented, they mourned, and what happened? Then they started to get things together, you know, and for the sake of doing things to please the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, now let's move on from there to Ecclesiasticus, in the same book, the 6th chapter, and let's start at the 18th verse. It says, "My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shall I find wisdom till thine old age." So you look at this as, you know, look at this as someone out there that's addicted to whatever type of drug or whatever type of substance they're addicted to, and how they'll be willing to do whatever they can to get that substance that they desire into their body, into their system. So look at wisdom that way. You do whatever you got to do. We'll do whatever we got to do to get that substance or that wisdom into our minds, into our spirit. All right. It says, "Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth." Yeah, because this is work. You know, you're not just going to pray to the Lord, "Oh Lord, you know, give me knowledge, wisdom, and understanding." Then all of a sudden your mind is going to be open. If everything's going to be in there. No, faith without works is dead. So, you know, we pray and we do. It says, "And wait for her good fruits." Yeah, because when you plant seed into the ground, that seed, if you plant a seed into the ground today and you expect by the end of the day for there to be something there, then something's not. The elevator don't go all the way upstairs in your mind. Obviously, you're a person that doesn't have, you know, all the screws. Some of your screws are loose. Now a husbandman, which is a farmer, once he plants a seed into the ground, he knows it's going to take a process of time for that seed to grow. He has to make sure that the ground is broken up properly. He has to make sure the seed is planted and covered over. He has to make sure that it's nourished and watched over. And eventually you start seeing things start to sprout, you know, in process of time, you know, when it gets the rain and everything it needs. And then once it starts growing, the fruit doesn't start growing on it right away, but eventually you start seeing fruit. And when the fruit starts growing, you can't just eat the fruit right there because it's still green. You got to wait till the fruit ripens. So it takes time. So it says, "Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with us." Yeah, that's why it says, "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." So now let's jump real quick from there to the book of Proverbs, chapter 9. And verse 8 And then we're going to finish out back in Ecclesiasticus 6, and that'll be the lesson. Proverbs 9 and 8. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Yeah, this is an individual that will not abide with wisdom, because he doesn't like the discipline of wisdom. You know, and this, we use this analogy a lot. You know, when you watch those karate flicks, you know, anytime somebody wanted to learn, they were given certain tasks to do, and they would get mad at the task because they're looking, okay, if I ask this master, he's amazing in fighting, so I know if I ask him, you know, to teach me, and I learn from him, that I'm going to be a bad dude myself. Then he might say, master, teach me, right? And what the first thing the guy do? He might hand him a mop. He might hand him a broom. He might hand him a towel. You know, he might tell him to do this or do that, or stack this wood over there, or stack that over there. Wash those dishes. You know, certain things that person would be like, man, I want to learn how to fight. I don't want to learn how to do this bullshit. But that's discipline. See, what the individual is teaching the disciple, because that's what the word disciple means, discipline, is discipline. You know, because when you learn how to fight, the best thing to have is discipline. Otherwise, you're just going to be a hothead and just start beating up on everybody out there. The purpose of learning how to fight is to defend yourself, not to know how to fight and then just go around just picking fights with people for the hell of it. So that's what the discipline is about. When you watch the movie Braveheart, when William Wallace was a child and his parents got killed, his uncle took him in, and he had the sword, and he was like, you know, which you could tell from a young age he was a warrior. And his uncle said, I'll teach you how to use this before you can use this. So when he said, I'll teach you how to use this, he pointed to his mind. And then he said, before I teach you how to use this, and he pointed to the sword. So what happened? He learned discipline. He learned different languages. He learned about wisdom and different other things. So when he learned that sword, you know, it was like a perfect combination. That's why when, you know, he went to go speak to the prince's his wife, the other guy, the counselor of the woman, you know, she told her in Latin that you don't need to talk to this barbarian, and he came back in Latin and told her, I'm not a barbarian. And they looked at him and they said, or you prefer it in French. So they looked at him as a barbarian, but he was an intelligent individual. You see? That's discipline. That's why it says, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Yeah, because if you reprove a scorner, he's not going to love you. Why? Because he's not going to look at the picture of discipline. It says, rebuke a wise man and he will love thee. Why? Because he knows, like King David said, let the righteous smite me. It'll be a kindness. Because the reproofs and the rebukes are not just because, okay, I got the power to do it, so let me just rebuke and reprove and curse this guy out just to get my rocks off because I had a bad day today. No, the reproval and the rebuking comes for the purpose of getting that person in the right mindset. You know? So you can understand what this truth is really all about. It says, give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. See? Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. It says, for by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou alone shalt bear it. You see? Because at the end of the day, each individual is responsible for themselves. You can't be a member of a camp and ride the coattail of the men that are working. And because your camp is a very well-established camp that has men that's dedicated, devout, teachers, bringing out precepts, doing lessons, speaking out in the streets, and here it is, you just a part of the camp, and you're trying to ride their coattail. It don't work like that. Scripture say, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You gotta pick up your plow. You gotta put in your work. You can't receive a reward from somebody else's labor. You have to put in your own labor. Like I remember years ago, not sure if it was 2008, 2009, around there. I forget exactly when it was. And there, we used to put a lot of videos out through the Spirit. And then one individual came on the comment board and he said, "You guys got so many videos. Where should I start?" And I typed in, start at the beginning. You go to the very first page and you start watching the videos from there. And it's not just about watching. It's about watching, reading along, taking notes. Because this knowledge is vast. So it's impossible to remember every little detail. That's why sometimes before we go through a breakdown, you have to kind of go over it just to make sure. Because, you might be rusty in certain things. That's why, it's a thing of constantly going over stuff. Looking over this and looking over that, to make sure you got it right. All right, now let's go back to Ecclesiasticus 6 and 21. It says, let's start at 20 again. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. This is a scorner. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. Yeah, because that's the marriage. What happens when you're married to a woman and y'all had y'all differences? Eventually, that glue that had y'all together, that attraction that had y'all together in the first place is gone, and there's nothing else there. Esau causes irreconcilable differences or something like that. All right, so it says, she will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trials. Oh, boy, I got to go out to camp again. Oh, Lord. Oh, I got to do 3 lessons a week. Oh no, now Pastor Tara talking about do a lesson a day. I don't know, this is too much for me. And he will cast it from him ere it be long. Yeah, because she becomes a burden to him. You see? Now, like I said, not every day you're going to be in the Spirit. But this truth should not be a burden. It says, for wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Yeah. So you have individuals out there that hear this word. Oh, this is easy. I could do this. She's not manifest to many. Just because it's out there doesn't mean everyone that gets involved in it is a part of it. And that's another part of thinking about this truth. Many are called, few are chosen. They gather good fish and bad fish. And you got to have that in the back of your mind that at any time, because really at the end of the day, Yahweh Bashim Shai don't need any of us. We're all expendable. The only way that we are valuable, so to speak, is if we are part of the elect, and we don't know that. You see? So at any given time, anybody could be, plucked. Yahweh Shai said, every plant that my Father have not planted shall be rooted up. And that, what that does? That eliminates pride. It says, give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel. And put thy feet into her fetters, and thy neck into her chains. Why? Because at first it's going to be rough waters, but eventually, what happens? You start to see the benefits. Just like when you're working out. The worst part of working out is what? Working out and getting started. And once you get started, you kind of get into it. Then the next time is, boy, I got to do this shit again. But then after you keep doing it over and over again, what happens? You start seeing the benefits. Your stamina starts to increase. Your conditioning increase. You're in shape. You can walk a mile and not be winded. You can run and not be winded. So you start seeing the benefits of that working out. That's the same thing with wisdom. The discipline. Bow down thy shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds. Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. Because Yahweh Shai is this word. What the Yahweh Shai says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they that what? They testify of me. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. Because this is you got to remember, this is what you learn. What you learn here, inside joke, but what you learn is your ticket to salvation. It says, for at the last thou shalt find her rest, and thou shalt be turned to, and that shall be turned to your joy. Yeah, because you'll be happy that you went through the discipline to receive the benefit. The guy that goes to the gym and looks at the weights and starts doing it and say, man, later for this, what he gonna be? He ain't gonna have the benefit. But the guy that picks it, the weights up and and gets into it and does what he got to do in discipline, he's gonna be the one that's gonna see results. It says, then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee, and her chains a robe of glory. Yeah, that's that discipline. The discipline that you were dragged through. That's going to be the strong defense for thee, and the robe of glory. For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands are purple lace. Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor, and shalt put her about thee as a crown of joy. Yeah, beautiful. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. See? And who would do this? A lover of wisdom. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. Because remember, understanding is the main key. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. Stand in the multitude of elders, and cleave unto him that is wise. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. Alright, so a lover of wisdom. That's been this lesson here. I pray, Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, that your brothers have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.